The forgotten wisdom of Seneca. Suffering is an opportunity for wisdom. What if I told you that the greatest lessons in your life will not come from success, but from pain? What if I told you that every heartbreak, every failure, every sleepless night was not a punishment, but an invitation? An invitation to understand who you truly are, to grow, to rise, to remember what the lost arts ancients once knew, that suffering is an opportunity for wisdom. You see, the ancients didn't see pain as something to avoid. They saw it as a sacred teacher, a forge for the soul, a place where strength and compassion are born. We spend our lives running from discomfort, from loss, from the unknown. We build walls of comfort and call it safety. We chase distractions and call it happiness. But Seneca, the great Stoic philosopher of ancient Rome, looked beyond the surface. He believed that life was not about avoiding suffering, but about learning through it. He said, "Difficulties strengthen the mind, as labor does the body." Seneca saw pain not as an enemy but as a guide, a wise, sometimes ruthless teacher, because within every hardship lies a hidden lesson, and within every loss a spark of truth waiting to be found. My name is Alexander Reed. I am not a philosopher. I'm not a saint. I'm just someone who has lived enough to know that life doesn't always go according to plan. There were times I waited for the right moment, the right opportunity, the right mood, but that perfect moment never came, and in my waiting, I lost something I could never get back. Time. It took me years and plenty of suffering to understand what Seneca meant, that wisdom does not come from comfort. It comes from reflection, from facing life's storms with open eyes and an open heart, and that's what I want to share with you today. 3 timeless lessons from Seneca and the lost arts ancients. Lessons that reveal how suffering is an opportunity for wisdom, and how you can transform pain into peace, chaos into clarity, and fear into freedom. Pain is not just what happens to you, it's what happens within you. It is the mirror that shows you who you truly are. When something painful happens, and a breakup, a failure, a betrayal, our first instinct is to resist, to deny, to escape. But the Stoics believed that resistance only multiplies suffering. Seneca said, "He who suffers before it is necessary, suffers more than is necessary." We suffer twice, once in reality, and once in imagination. The mind becomes a battlefield of what if and why me. But when you stop fighting your pain, when you face it, you begin to see its message. Pain reveals your values. It teaches you what truly matters. It burns away illusion and ego until all that remains is truth. That is why the lost arts ancients treated pain as sacred, because it awakens self-awareness. It forces you to ask, who am I when everything is stripped away? And the answer, though born from struggle, is always a form of rebirth. There's a forgotten art the ancients once practiced, the art of transformation. They believed that just as base metals could be turned into gold, suffering could be turned into wisdom. That fire could refine the soul. Seneca embodied this alchemy. Exiled, betrayed and condemned, he never let pain define him. Instead, he let it purify him. Difficulties strengthen the mind, he said, as labor does the body. That is the law of nature. Muscles grow through resistance. Character grows through pain. This is not about glorifying suffering. It's about using it, transforming it into understanding, patience, and compassion. When you stop asking, why is this happening to me? and start asking, what can this teach me? Your suffering becomes sacred. That shift went from resistance to reflection is the essence of the wisdom of the lost arts ancients. They didn't see pain as punishment. They saw it as raw material, waiting to be shaped into strength. The Stoics mastered something we've nearly forgotten. The power to reframe pain in itself is neutral. It's the story we attach to it that makes it unbearable. Seneca wrote, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality. Two people can experience the same hardship. One grows, the other breaks. The difference? Perspective." The lost arts ancients knew that pain has no meaning except the one we give it. They believed that by changing your interpretation, you change your experience. Reframing doesn't erase pain. It redeems it. It gives meaning to what feels meaningless. And when pain gains meaning, it transforms into power. So the next time life wounds you, don't ask, "How do I escape this?" Ask instead, "How do I evolve through this?" That is the question of wisdom. That is the mark of transformation. There is a quiet power in letting go. When you stop resisting the storm, you begin to move with it. That's what Seneca and the lost arts ancients understood so profoundly. Peace does not come from controlling the storm. It comes from controlling your response. We live in an age obsessed with control, over outcomes, people, even time. But control is an illusion, and the tighter you cling, the more life slips through your fingers. Acceptance, however, is freedom. It's not resignation, it's clarity. It's saying, I cannot control the world, but I can control my mind. Seneca said, "No man is crushed by misfortune unless he has first been deceived by prosperity." We expect life to be easy, and that expectation destroys us. But when we accept that life will always bring both joy and sorrow, we stop breaking every time something goes wrong. Acceptance makes you unshakable. It gives you peace in the middle of chaos. It gives you strength when everything else falls apart. That is the hidden freedom the ancients spoke of, the ability to find peace. Within the storm, the lost arts ancients practiced stillness, not the stillness of inaction, but of awareness, a calm mind in the middle of motion. They knew that wisdom doesn't come from endless doing, but from the space between actions, the silence where truth reveals itself. Seneca said, "To be calm is the highest achievement of the self. Calm cannot be taken from you. It is the mark of mastery as of one who has learned that suffering is an opportunity for wisdom, because once you understand your pain, it no longer controls you. You stop fighting life and begin to flow with it. And that flow, that harmony, is where peace lives. Every human heart will break. Every soul will know grief. But what defines us is not the pain we endure. It's the meaning we create from it. When you turn your pain into purpose, when you use your suffering to help someone else, you transform it into something sacred. That's what Seneca did. That's what every philosopher of the lost arts ancients did. They turned their own wounds into wisdom, not for themselves, but for all of humanity. Perhaps the purpose of life is not to avoid suffering, but to learn how to love through it, to rise through it, to find peace not after the storm, but within it. Because that's when you become free, not free from pain, but free within it. As you walk your path, remember this: the same fire that once burned, you can light your way forward. The same pain that broke, you can forge your strength. Seneca's wisdom still burns today because it speaks to something eternal. something inside each of us that longs not just to survive, but to understand. So when life hurts, pause, breathe, and whisper to yourself. Suffering is an opportunity for wisdom. Let those words sink deep. Let them remind you that pain is not your enemy, but your guide, a teacher disguised as chaos. Within every wound lies a doorway, not to despair, but to awakening. This is the forgotten legacy of the lost arts ancients, the truth Seneca left for us across centuries. The greatest freedom you will ever find is the peace you create within your own mind.